Guys, it's the eclipse. The eclipse is here. It is today. Today is the day. Oh my goodness. Congratulations to us. We have made it through the past 2 weeks since the other eclipse on October 14th. Today, we wrap up this eclipse portal energy. How was it for you? Was it like riding a roller coaster? Because it has kind of felt like that for me. And wow. Oh my goodness. A lot has happened in not a lot of time. I would love to hear your experiences with the past 2 weeks if you care to share in the comments or probably in my Facebook group, Intuitive Healing with Ali Duzette. A lot of people have had a lot of crazy stuff going on. One thing I want to mention real quick is that as of this recording, I just recently created a self-harm prevention session that you can do on behalf of a loved one who is feeling prone to self-harm or suicidal ideation. So I'm going to recommend that immediately. It is free. If you go to aliduzetclasses.com, just scroll down right now, it'll be at the bottom, but it's usually everything's organized by alphabetically usually, but go look for, it's called Getting Off the Ledge, Self-Harm Prevention. And I am really pleased that I finally got this recorded. I've been wanting to for a long time and I was scared to, but I just did it and I feel like it is really helpful. So if you or a family member need that session, it is available now. Go check it out. It's free. Go do it. It will bless your life. Now let's take a look at this eclipse. This is the chart for this eclipse. You can see that the sun is at 5 degrees of Scorpio. The moon is at 5 degrees of Taurus. This is taking place at 4:45 p.m. in Washington, D.C. So that's going to be about 2:45 p.m. in Utah, where I live. So will you be able to see it? I don't know. We'll just see. It's supposedly going to be visible from most of the world, but I don't know. I don't know. It's going to be in the middle of the day, basically, for at least most of us here in the continental US. So we'll just have to see. But anytime that you have a lunar eclipse, it's when the sun and the moon are exactly opposite from each other, and then they're close enough to the nodes. That's these horseshoe guides. And a lunar eclipse triggers a full reset for your entire emotional, like your emotional sense of self, okay? What's happening in a lunar eclipse, remember, is that the Earth is coming in between the sun and the moon, okay? It's disrupting that connection between the sun and the moon. And it's the Earth's shadow against the moon that is what makes an eclipse, a lunar eclipse, okay? Remember also, this is a full moon. All lunar eclipses happen on a full moon. What's special about a full moon that I love to talk about? That is parasites. That is when parasites love to mate. So pay attention if you are feeling some sugar cravings. Don't give in. You're just feeding the monsters that live in your gut. Do not do it. This is a fine time for a parasite cleanse. It's a fine time to just say no to sugar. If that's all you can do today, you should give yourself an A+, because I know it's hard on the full moon. The 3 days before the full moon, the 3 days after the full moon, potent full moon energies in general, and especially so with an eclipse. So during a full moon, that is always a great time to set intentions on what you want to get rid of. And we just talked about that. What do you want to get rid of? What old patterns are you ready to shift out of at this time? Being aware of that is going to be really helpful. And now I want to talk about something that I realized recently in the context of a story, which is that in September, I had a retreat in Williamsburg, Virginia. It was so fun. I need to go schedule next year's because one thing I learned is you don't want to do it in September. It was so hot. Even though it was September, it was like 95 degrees and like 95% humidity. It was awful. Like, it was wonderful to go spend time with people and have so much fun. And it was so hot. So anyways, I want to do the next one in April, so keep an eye out. But man, so I planned this retreat in September to ride roller coasters. It was called Healing in History, and we did Williamsburg, Jamestown, and Yorktown, the historic triangle. And then we rode roller coasters for 3 days in Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, which was so fun. Because roller coasters can help you process trauma. They kind of trigger a body response. You get your heart rate elevated, you feel those feelings of fear that happen in trauma, but it's in a fun setting and it's in a safe setting. And so what you can do is set your intention on what you're going to clear, and then you use roller coasters to work through it. It is fabulous and very effective in my experience. So we went to go ride roller coasters. And during that 1 week of roller coasters in history, I really thought that we were going to be tying up a lot of loose ends. We're gonna heal a bunch of trauma and be able to like move on. And what I didn't realize was that, at least for myself, all of the work that we did during that week, I came home and it was like, oh, like now is the time that the hard work begins. Now is the time that the hard work begins. I don't know. I realized that I had done all this great healing work, and then it had put me in this new place where I had to do even more healing work. Does that make sense? Like, I cleared out all of this stuff, and then that made it so my spirit had to kind of reorganize and figure itself out in a new way. That was also hard, And so I bring it up because I feel like this eclipse is kind of the same way. We rode this roller coaster of the eclipse, and it's sealing up today. We're going to have that final reset on that on that Scorpio Taurus axis. And then, in a way, the fun begins. We just had this 18 months worth of spiritual growth condensed into 2 weeks. It's ending today. But then we just did 18 months worth of spiritual growth in just 2 weeks. And so what's going to happen next, right? Then we're going to have this like integrating period, right? So I'm excited about it. I have a plan for us, and I think we're going to have a good time. But I just wanted to bring that to your attention. We're going to seal up this eclipse energy today, and we're going to be able to relax in some ways, but we're going to find that our systems are going to be reorganizing. They're going to be kind of sorting stuff out. All of the stuff that happened in the past 2 weeks was pulling stuff out of us that doesn't need to be there. It was adding stuff in that does need to be there. It's going to seal up today. And then afterwards, we get to process all of the changes that just took place. So it's going to be fine. It's going to be fun. We're going to work together and get the job done, and we're going to have a great time. So to have the lunar eclipse on this Scorpio Taurus axis, I want to talk about this because this Scorpio Taurus axis is what we were dealing with for the 18 months that ended in July. Okay, 18 months prior to July. So I guess since about January of 2022, we've been in that axis. And I called it the zombie apocalypse because it was all about hidden secrets coming to light, the skeletons in your closet taking life like a zombie. But this is also the axis that deals with resources. And I just had a question in my Facebook group about resources and money and the astrological transits. And this eclipse is a reset with our sense of self and our emotions, particularly around resources, particularly around things like money, and about where you get your resources, if you get them from other people, if you generate them yourself. So I don't know what that's going to look like on an individual level, but what I can say is that the stuff that happened during this eclipse is going to impact us for the next 6 months until the next set of eclipses, okay, which is going to be happening in April. And that one's going to be a total solar eclipse over the United States. I know you know this. Everyone's been talking about it since 2017. And this is a big deal. I need to make a whole separate video about this. But any given location we'll witness a total solar eclipse about once every 350 years. We are having 3 big visible eclipses during the day over the United States within 7 years. And if you are like scripturally or numerologically oriented, 7 is an important number from 2017 to 2024. And it's making the shape of an A or an Aleph over the United States, which is really interesting when you think about that scripture that the first shall be last and the last shall be first. The last shall be first. And here we are, the letter A is being carved over the United States in the stars, like the stars themselves. The sun itself is carving the letter A above the mainland United States. To me, this is looking really, really significant. But I want you to just think about what has happened in the past 2 weeks. The stuff that's been happening in the past 2 weeks is a little bit of a foreshadow of the next 6 months until our next eclipse. And we are going to see some shifts around boundaries. We're going to have to deal with issues of how do we put ourselves first in a healthy way? How do we stand up for ourselves in a healthy way while maintaining our important relationships also in a healthy way? And how are we going to handle whatever financial curveballs might come our way? We are looking at some really interesting economic stuff. And I talked to my Facebook group about making a video about that specifically also soon. So I need to do it. But remember that Pluto is in Capricorn for now, and it is transiting back into Aquarius in January. When Pluto first entered Capricorn for the first time in 244 years, in fall of 2008, we had a massive housing market crash. That was right when I was graduating from college, and I just got married. I got married in 2008. And so we got to get married and graduate and have absolutely no jobs. And we lived with my parents for years, and it was disaster. And I don't know, thanks Pluto. Pluto trims away what is dead so that new growth can occur. And we see how Pluto definitely trimmed away what was dead with the housing market at that time. And what is going to happen when Pluto exits Capricorn for good for the next 244 years? I don't know, but I can tell you that all of the stuff that I'm researching about our current economic situation is leading me to think that we could be looking at some unfun stuff. Remember that Uranus is transiting Taurus for the first time since the Great Depression, and economic cycles tend to go in 84-year sets, which is a Uranus cycle. Martin Armstrong writes about this. He's the first person that I found that wrote about it. And then I realized, oh my gosh, this is a Uranus cycle. Like, does he even know he's talking about Uranus? But here we are looking at a massive shift with the overall financial system of the United States. And of course, as they say, when America sneezes, the world gets a cold. However America is handling things, the entire rest of the planet is going to be impacted by that. So we have a lot of interesting things to keep our eyes on. As we move forward, one of my greatest recommendations is going to be to, of course, we need to connect with our creator every single day and ask for divine guidance in how to prepare for what's coming. I've talked about this before, but not recently. But here on this channel, certainly, one of my favorite things to pray is for God to send me the information and insights and spiritual growth that I need now to make my future life easier. And that's what I'm going to invite you to do if it feels right. Ask if that is the right thing to pray for and see if God tells you yes or no. But for me, I feel like it has been a real blessing in my life to ask ahead of time and say, okay, what is the life lesson I need to learn so that next year is going to go smoother for me? What can I learn today in an easy, graceful way? And set those intentions. Can we learn this easily? Can we learn this without trauma? Can we learn lessons now in a non-traumatic way so that our future can go more easily? Now is the time to be preparing for whatever the future might hold. And hopefully we can all win the lottery and we'll just have great lives. And we will still want to learn our divine lessons ahead of time for that so that we can manage that wonderful money wisely. Or depending on what happens with the economy, we may be seeing a really different kind of future for society overall. No matter what is going on in society at large, your life does not have to be a mess. If everybody else's life is a mess, that is their business, but your life does not have to be a mess. You can have a good life. And I hope that you do. And how you do that is today you start cleaning up the messes that you've made in the past, the messes that you've experienced and taken on yourself, maybe other people's messes that you've internalized and blamed yourself for, and you carry the trauma of it. You got to clean it up. You got to clean it out. And then the next step is to start preparing for that future. You're going to say, okay, God, tell me, what do I need to do today so that next year goes easier for me? What material items do I need to acquire? What kind of jobs might I need to apply to? What friends do I need to make? Who do I need to connect with? Right? What kind of class do I need to take? We ask these questions. Ask what to ask. Ask God what you need to ask for. And then ask it, and then write down your answer, and then do the answer. This does not have to be hard, but it can be absolutely life-changing. Just spending a few minutes a day, or even just a few minutes a week, even just a few minutes once. Do it today and forget about it. Just doing anything, connecting with our creator and asking what to ask for, writing it down, doing it, it will change your life and it will make your life so much easier. We can have easy lives. We can have good lives. Okay. No matter what is happening with everybody else, you can have a good life and so can I, and we can have good lives together, okay? So that is my message today as we go through this eclipse. Just remember, no sugar. No, we're not going to feed our parasites. We are not doing that today. And remember to tune in with our creator. Ask what patterns it's time to say goodbye to. Write them down. Say, I am done reliving the pattern of inviting toxic people into my life. I am done with the pattern of yelling at my kids. I'm done with the pattern of whatever you need to clear the pattern of. And you're going to ask our creator, what is the next step for me so that next year is going to go easier for me? What is the next step? What is something I can do today that is going to make the next 6 months so much easier for me and for my family, for the people I love? What can I do right now that's going to change the trajectory of my life in a positive way? Okay, that's it for today. Happy Eclipse Day, my friends. I love you so much. Come hang out with me on Facebook, Intuitive Healing with Ali Duzette. Like and subscribe if you haven't. We have a good time here. Okay, I hope you have the best day. Bye.